I I just have to clap everybody involved in this film.
I think it's a brilliant film, and I think Ed Norton does the character justice.
And I'll be honest with you, I have issues with the film.
I thought it was brave, thought-provoking, necessary film.
Hi there, and welcome to Rusted Junk, the 80s movie podcast. Do you dream about gremlins? How hard can you actually die? Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe? If those mean something to you, then you're in the right place. This season, we're all about a dip into the 90s. So over to Charlie, Amanda, Joe and Dom for the film.
The film we're covering this time is American History X. It is a 1998 American crime drama directed by Tony Kaye. We'll get to that later. The film stars Ed Norton as Derek Vineyard, former neo-Nazi leader who, after serving 3 years in prison for voluntary manslaughter, is rehabilitated and seeks to prevent his younger brother Danny, played by Edward Furlong, from going down the same path of hate and violence. The narrative unfolds throughout Danny's perspective as he writes a paper about his brother's life, which is assigned by their African-American principal, Dr. Sweeney. The film explores themes of racism, redemption, and the impact of hate on a family and community. It had a budget of $20 million, but only grossed $23.9 million at the box office worldwide.
Oh.
On Rotten Tomatoes, however, it's got an 84% critic score and a 96% audience score. Amazon is 4.3 out of 5, and Metacritic is 8.5. So, looking forward to discussing this. I really am, and we'll see you the other side of the trailer. Here you are.
Look, I told you, I don't want you all coming up here to see me.
I don't care what you tell me, okay?
I'm trying to get through this and you're just making it harder.
You think you're the only one doing time, Derek? You think I'm not in here with you?
He was his mother's hope.
He's gone. You don't know the world your children are living in.
His father's legacy.
It's everywhere I look now. What? This affirmative black shit.
The white man marches on!
See this? That means not welcome.
And his brother's hero.
I trust you, Derek.
Drop your weapon! Derek, no!
All that anger, all that hate.
Has anything you've done made your life better?
Derek Vineyard was released from Chino early this morning.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Too big to give me a hug?
Oh, it's good to see you. Check this out, man.
When'd you get that?
What?
Well, I came to talk about Danny. He's headed right where you are.
What's wrong with you?
Let the kid alone. He thinks the joint messed with your mind.
It did.
I'm asking you to do whatever's in your power.
You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna get shot by a bunch of white boys. I am out, and Danny is out too. And if you come near my family again, I will feed you your heart.
What's happening, Dad?
I don't think you realize what's been going on here. We are 10 times what we were.
They're after you, man.
They're gonna come for me. They're gonna come for me. There ain't nothing I can do. Hey, Danny!
Shoot it!
I love you, and you're my best friend. And I'm not telling you what to do, but I need you to understand.
Well, how do you think the trailer compares to the film? Do you think it gives you the, do you watch that trailer and then go, well, that looks like a must-see film, or
No,
do you
I
think
don't think it does.
it's a
Actually.
word of
I
mouth
think
thing?
I think it messes the film up.
Okay.
I think they show too much and it clutters it. Less is more, especially
So
with a film like this.
too busy. And it's over 2 minutes long as well, the trailer.
Yeah, it's too big. Yeah.
And it kind of reveals a little too much too. Like his turn. We don't need to see that.
Yeah. Well, let's kick off with what people thought. It's definitely what you would call hard hitting, because it's just one of those films that I think when we watched it together, Amanda, we were just looking at the end of it and just like stunned at the end, because you kind of like,
Yeah, we didn't say anything for
You
about
didn't
2
say-
minutes, did we?
well, we don't say anything anyway, because except sometimes you turn to me with like a cheeky wink, and I'm like, is that a 7 or 8 or 8 out of 10? Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so
No, but we at least have some kind of conversation after watching the film.
a little
even
bit.
Even if it's, do you want a cup of tea or are you going to bed or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, something like that. But it's not like, really, what do you think of now that you've finally seen it, what do you think of How the Duck? It's not conversations like that. Well,
You have to mention Howard the Duck every
Yeah.
single podcast we do.
right, I won't mention it anymore.
Oh my God. Right.
That's how we get listeners. People search for Howard the Duck on AI.
No,
and
they
go,
don't.
They do.
They don't.
I can't. Anyway, Marvel character of a duck, American History X, completely different films. It's your film. It's your choice, Amanda. Who do you want to go first? Do you want to go first? Do you want to go last? Where would you like to go?
No, I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Okay, so this was a 1998 film, wasn't it?
It was.
Okay, so, well, oh God, what year are we now? 24. So that's over 20 years ago, 26 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal because you don't think it's that old. And I think that's because it remains quite relevant. And it's actually, I don't know how to describe it. There's a whole mix of emotions going on when you watch it. I was absolutely captivated. I have not seen this film for years, and I chose it because it was a stark contrast to the other films that I've chosen. So, like Basic Instinct. I just felt that it was time for us to sort of have not a serious discussion about something, but something that would provoke, some kind of conversation in depth, but give us some, real world kind of issues that are going on. And it's not like a film that's necessarily dated, I don't think. So yeah, that's why I chose it, because it's I think it's a brilliant film, and I think Ed Norton does the character justice as the lead. But for me, the other outstanding people are Dr. Sweeney, and he plays an excellent, role in this, and also the black guy that befriends him in prison, befriends Ed Norton's character in prison, because you don't think that's going to happen at all. Clear polar opposites, and I think that's the key to the theme of redemption of this film, I think. So without that in prison, I don't think there would have been any hope for him to revoke his beliefs. So yeah, I think for me, do you want me to give my score?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, the film is a 9.
Okay.
It doesn't quite make it a 10 because I think there are some areas that can be improved, but for me, it's definitely a 9, and I would watch it again multiple times, because there's obviously things that you miss. So I would want to go back and see things again.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my shout.
Strong opening. That's quite a passionate view of it. I'll get to my point. Who do you want to go next?
I'm going to go Joe.
Okay. So watching this movie, I kind of realized this could not be made today. They would not allow it at all. And
interesting.
I will say, though, I think the performances were excellent. There is really not a poor performance in this. I think again, the direction, the cinematography was really good. I haven't seen this since I saw it in theaters, so it's been a long time. And I'll be honest to you, I have issues with the film.
Okay.
I thought I would have found it to be, more of I don't know if we want to call it a classic, but something that is like above average in filmmaking. But for me, it just wasn't there, and it had to deal with some of the issues, I think. But I'll give it an 8.
Oh,
Wow,
that's
okay.
a good score though. If you've still got issues with it,
Hmm?
I'll have
Not
your
major
8,
issues.
Joe.
Okay.
I'll have your 8.
9 and 8. Joe, over to you. Who are you passing the rugby ball to?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Amanda, I think you spelt your name wrong. Is it me?
Yes, I think you might have done.
Let's not nitpick, because that's Amanda's joke, and that is a hilarious joke. Just for the benefit of anyone listening on Podform rather than YouTube, Zig a Zig Heil, which combines the 90s and the Nazis in one deft.
Let's do it in like 2 seconds. So I probably misspelled it. Sorry.
That's fine. Probably for the purposes of YouTube and again, it's probably very good that you just spelt it incorrectly. Who's going to go next?
I'll go with someone that spelt their name right. Curb Muncher.
Yeah, that's me. So look, before I give my thoughts on the film, I just want to welcome some new listeners that Charlie and I managed to drum up over the weekend.
We did, yes.
Yeah, so we spent a boozy, sunny weekend in Nottingham, catching up with our old Capital One team. So they all said they'd listen. I'd be happy if 50% have tuned in. But greetings to who have we got? Nikki, Rich, Jack, Keith, Sue, John, Lodgie's lad.
In reality, hi Keith.
Greetings, and normally it's a bit more light-hearted than exploring the darker side of America's race wars, but here we are. This is the episode where Rusted Junk gets cancelled, I suppose. Yeah. So, what did I think of the film? Anyway, cutting to that, I thought it was brave, thought-provoking, necessary film. I think Joe's comment's interesting. Would it get made today? Films like this do need to get made. I think that explore. They don't solve racism. They don't give you a definitive view of race. But they do pose some uncomfortable questions and hold a bit of a mirror up, I think, to not just white society, but black society and perhaps the American melting pot as well. And for me, the film's structured really around a brilliant, captivating, career-high performance, in my view, from Ed Norton. And I just think his performance in this film is fantastic. That would be 10 out of 10 for him there, through the sheer transformation he goes through to individual scenes. I think the family dinner where they argue with the Jewish boyfriend teacher that the mum invites along is exceptional. And I think it's brave because we see that the start of the film almost kind of articulates the white racist supremacy view of the world in a fairly uncritical way. And actually not that it garners sympathy, I don't think, from the audience, but it kind of helps you to see the world from their albeit flawed perspective, and I think that is quite a brave thing to do. I thought the relationship with the black prisoner that Amanda mentioned earlier, Lamont, I've made note of his name here, is believable and touching. So a great film, and if Amanda hadn't chosen this, I was going to choose it for this season as well. I think the thing that lets it down, and we'll explore this more, is the ending for me. That was problematic and abrupt, but for me, still a very good film. Excellent direction, brilliant central performance. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's left to me to try and keep the momentum going on that one. I have to say, first of all, I do have problems with the film, and it's with the last third, but we'll get to that later. I just have to clap everybody involved in this film, because there are people in this film that we know can't act. But when they come to this film, they act their socks off. They are incredible. A tale of two performances. Edward Furlong in Terminator 2. Not very good. Edward Furlong in this film. Incredible.
Which one was made first? Terminator 2?
Terminator 2.
Right.
There's a gap. Spoiler alert, when we said on Terminator 2, he hasn't done an awful lot.
No.
But this is incredible, and you cannot take your eye off this for the whole film. You might, we'll have issues that we'll talk about, but it is truly mesmerizing. It it invites you just to not look at some. We're in a world where people look at their phones and they do something else and they're multitasking. This film demands that you watch it, but repays you for that investment. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I remember, Dom. I think because no secret, you and I were roommates at a time, and I think when I got my DVD player, shiny new DVD player that I had imported from the States, and all the other one, this was one of the films that was delivered as part of the first batch. So I think I remember watching it with you, in that, and you kind of like, what the heck is this? And it is just one of those. Sorry.
Just wanted to clarify a couple of details there, that we were in fact housemates rather than roommates. Just point one, and point two.
Why would you? Wait a minute. Why would you be ashamed if we were?
Not ashamed. Accuracy always has its place, doesn't it? And secondly, just the DVD player that you got imported from America. Right? I do remember another occasion when you went shopping one day and we agreed to split the bill. I think I'd have to spend, buy half the milk, half the bread, half the coffee, whatever. And you came back with a DVD player that day as well, didn't you? So, that was a bit of a
What's going on here, Charlie?
Bag of potatoes, some satsumas, and a DVD player. You owe me 200.
That I had imported through the company, so I didn't have to pay any tax. Anyway, that's all what we're here. The problems I have with it don't mean that I can't give it a high score as I would like to. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to spoil the party, but I'm going to go 8, and I genuinely wanted to go 10, but I couldn't. But it's 8 for me. So, yeah, we're all roughly in the same sort of zone. Then, should we do the quickest roll call that we've ever done, and then get it down there? Right, set your watches. If this goes over 5 minutes, then I don't know, penance. People can write in. By the time you watches, I'm looking at this. Here's roll call.
Roll call.
The way I'll win the bet, we're not talking Ed Norton. We're not talking Edward Furlong. But we are talking...
Because we've done them recently.
We've done them recently, To go back and listen to, as I say, Terminator 2, Fight Club. Fairuza Balk, that plays his girlfriend. She was in, very quickly, Return to Oz. She was a small girl. She was Dorothy in Return to Oz. She was also in The Craft. That's about it.
She was in The Water Boy.
The what?
Oh God, I don't remember that. That's
The Water Boy.
I like that film.
She was his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
She
always
creeps me out. Did you say The Craft? She was in The Craft.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's just like, I don't know, something about her.
She's creepy in Return to Oz, but the whole film is creepy.
Yeah.
With those weird, long-legged... anyway, right, biker things. Elliot Gould, which we have to mention, obviously, and at this point, I'll mention, obviously, MASH, where he was one of the two co-stars alongside Donald Sutherland. We've recently released a tribute that we put together for Donald Sutherland, and I would say go and check that out, because genuinely, for me, MASH is one of my favourite films. So obviously Elliot Gould plays Trapper in that to Donald Sutherland's Hawkeye. When I was looking through the list, I was like thinking, I'm going to expect more than just MASH and Monica's dad in Friends. And there is, but they're not films that jump out at you, absolute classics. I'm sorry to write, he featured heavily in the Muppet movies. He was in Bugsy with Warren Beatty, The Player, where he played himself, Naked Gun 33 1/3, and Ruben in the Ocean's 11 film. And I feel awful saying that in the context of the fact that he was in the legendary film MASH. So,
well, I will say, as an American back in the 70s, he was very well known. I guess he just was very popular, like with the Hollywood stars and all that. I know he had a kid with Barbra Streisand.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm kind of surprised he wasn't in more movies. Not that he was great. I never thought he was great at anything, to be honest with you. But I know you like MASH.
We need to go watch MASH again. Absolutely.
I did. I didn't like it.
This is where Amanda, for those who are listening, she's about to roll her eyes. So if you can imagine, that's what she's doing as I say this next bit. That's great. the Star Trek connection is there with Avery Brooks, who plays the principal, Dr. Sweeney, and his sister, who's played by Jennifer Lien. Both of them were in Deep Space Nine and Star Trek Voyager, respectively. And I think he did something which is, they say, like William Shatner's typecast. You look at Patrick Stewart's typecast and you can't see them as anything else. I think Avery Brooks did a really good job of making you forget that he was part of Star Trek. He was just in this film, and I thought that was quite an achievement.
You've gone over 5 minutes.
Okay, right. I owe some penance, but here we go. Let's end with Stacey Keach. I said to Amanda, Stacey Keach, and she went, who? And I went, Mike Hammer. And you went, never heard of it. And then I looked at all his lists and stuff, and I'm like going, there's not a lot there. I've got Escape from LA. There you go. 5 minutes 27.
Poor old Beverly D'Angelo. What does she have to do not to get mentioned?
But we've done Beverly D'Angelo. We've done that sounds awful. We have covered in National Lampoon's Vacation, which I did with you, Dom. Yes, great. Violet Night is one of her more recent films. Santa Claus Die Hard. Very graphic.
It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. It's very good.
I'm going to annoy you now and mention the director at roll call point. We sometimes see the director, and this is. No,
this doesn't count in the 5 minutes that I went over. But yes, let's talk Tony Kaye.
Yeah. So, film debut, British director, known for a series of iconic TV adverts, which I sent around in the group chat earlier to not much ripple reaction.
I wondered why he was sending adverts. Like, what's he going? Oh, he's obviously got some free time on his hands.
I didn't know what that was either.
What? Perhaps I didn't make
I thought he was a surfer.
Listeners, let me make amends. So in the YouTube comments, Charlie, because I haven't got an account, can put the adverts, the Guinness, the very famous Guinness advert, where they're surfing, the British Rail advert, where it makes what was actually objectively a deeply unpleasant experience look wonderful and relaxing and comfortable, and a slightly more niche advert for the Guardian newspaper, which Charlie likes. But yeah, he was a famous, heavily rewarded and recognised television director. Then he made this, blew up his own career off the back of it because he disagreed with some of the editing choices, and Edward Norton took control of part of the film as well, and was effectively blacklisted in Hollywood in a way that kind of formed part of Hollywood folklore. So has worked and done a couple of other films, but one never saw the light of day and the others have barely caused a ripple. So this kind of creative, talented genius, he's made this film and this is his work. And whilst none of us are giving it 10s out of 10s, you can definitely see his mark in it. The black and white's a trademark of his. The cinematography, I think, stands out above and beyond kind of normal films of this type. So yeah, Tony Kaye, hats off.
Do we want to talk about Tony Kaye, about what happened? Because it might be a good thing to give people some context on that.
Well, you do. The final comment I was going to make, and then you perhaps bring it to life, Charlie, is that he's also Jewish as well. Raised in a strict Jewish household as well. So I thought his kind of perspective on this white supremacist, the Aryan Brotherhood, anti-Jewish messages in some part of the film, or scenes in part of this film, was a pretty interesting thing to see too. But yeah, go on, Charlie. You talk about it.
Absolutely. Well, what happened was Ed Norton went into the editing room and re-edited the film himself to give him
with permission or not?
Without permission. He went in and basically re-edited the film to lengthen his screen time. He wanted more screen time to be on there. So Tony Kaye found out about this, was horrified, and said, "I want to remove my name from the credits." Unfortunately, in Hollywood, if you're disgusted with your film and you're not happy with it, you have a choice. According to the Directors Guild Association, you can, and this is why you can see films directed by Alan Smithy. So that's the code word for I disown this film. But the pact is you put on Alan Smithy and you don't talk about why you have. So you don't go vocal about it. Unfortunately, he did. He talked about it in various magazines and interviews. So hence we start to get the blacklisting. He'd wanted to put Humpty Dumpty, directed by Humpty Dumpty, on it. That was what he suggested. The one thing I couldn't find out, and I'm sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger with this one, he actually sued the Directors Guild Association for violating his First Amendment rights for $200 million. But I can't find whether he won or not. So, unfortunately, that's the bit I couldn't find. I'm guessing he didn't, because I have seen him pop up here and there, talking about things. But he's very vocal about it and kind of disowns the film, despite the fact that the majority of the film is still in there. So there are two versions of this film. There's the one that we all watched, and there's the work print, which is his.
Oh, so we're not watching his film then?
Not really, no.
Is it available?
I'm sure if you went to various places, you could, various dark areas on the interweb, I reckon you could find it. But yeah, I think some people might have checked that out. I certainly, maybe after just saying that and actually saying it out loud, I probably feel quite inquisitive now as to what that actually looks like. But
yeah, me too.
Anyway, right. So that is officially out of roll call. I know, 10 minutes, but there you go. It's worth it, I think, just to put the context on that one. Where do we want to start on this one? Because, I mean...
Well, I would say Oscar bands. We didn't do that.
I was going to say that too.
Okay. Let's start with the start.
Are there any, Dom?
Yeah, so it only received one nomination, which is a little bit surprising in my view, and that was for Best Actor, inevitably for Edward Norton's performance, but he didn't win it, and I think personally he was robbed. The other nominees were Nick Nolte for Affliction, don't remember that one, Ian McKellen for Gods and Monsters, which did do quite well that year, Tom Hanks for Saving Private Ryan, but that didn't win either.
I know, that's the thing, yeah. Go on, and what one?
Pod favourite Tom Hanks missed out to Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful, and if you remember that's when he did all this cavorting and jumping around like a madman on stage, which to be fair is a rank outside of that award. He was probably delighted. So yeah, I think Ed Norton definitely deserved the Oscar that year for this performance.
Oh yeah, me too. That's sympathy, because that movie again was about the Holocaust and like what he did for his son. And and it was a good movie, but yeah, I mean Edward Norton blew him away.
It wasn't a good movie at all. It's like saying The Artist is a good movie. They only give that because somebody puts a dog in it and it's black and white.
Oh, I like The Artist. I thought that was a good movie.
Come on.
Oh, now you're going to make me pick that movie.
I don't think you can.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Ed Norton turned down Saving Private Ryan to do this film. So that's, when you look at, okay, well, he turned it down and then Tom Hanks wins. Then suddenly you go, I don't think he was going to play the Tom Hanks first character. I think he was going to be one of the others. But yeah. So
you asked where to start with this film. Let's start at the start because it's an explosive start, isn't it? It's the first, once the credits or scenes have rolled, then it's straight into. I'd forgotten chunks of this were in black and white, I think. But we're straight into the action, aren't we? Sex, armed invasion, Nazi memorabilia, striking images. Picks up his gun, goes outside. 2 dead black people. That's it. That's 5 minutes in, I think.
And the black and white, just for those who haven't seen it, it's worth watching. The black and white signifies things that have happened in the past, and the color signifies things that are happening as you're watching the film.
So, but I think it's more than just because it'd be a bit funky or unnecessary if it was just because he's got his head shaved as well. There are other indicators as to whether you're looking at the present or the past as the film goes. I think it also is more stylized, isn't it? I think that black and white imagery, and I think also maybe. None of us pretend to be film buffs, but there's probably something around maybe different shades in his future life as well, whereas in the past he saw things in black and white, in binary terms as well. So I think that's probably part of why they do that. But
that's pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Harrison. Oh, I like that.
Check out the brain.
Someone's been reading The Guardian. Okay.
No, mate, no. I don't really read The Guardian, but brilliant start. And if it's the first time he's seen the film, I think when you see him exposed for the first time, he obviously hit the gym a lot before he took this role. Ripped, big swastika on his pec as well. It's a shaven head, running downstairs with his gun. It's no wonder that his brother looks up to him and hero worships him. And I think it's one of the ways that the director makes this really unpleasant, unsympathetic, violent skinhead somehow seem, I don't know what the right word is, not sympathetic, but arresting, striking, engaging for the for the audience. Probably engaging is not the right word anyway, but it's not. I don't think it's as simple as he's an evil man and a horrible individual. He's charismatic, you could say.
Yeah, as was Hitler and his speeches. He was often called like a great orator, and
Took some of the heat off me there, Charles. I thought I was on shaky ground, sticking up for the
no. Well, I'm not
film.
sticking up. I'm just saying, you can't, what despicable human being, but you can't. You watch his speeches and you think, how were people mesmerized? How were people? Well, it's right there. I mean, you can see it. It's just fact, really. Unless YouTube wants to ban me for that one. I'm not saying anything else. From you get that bit, and very soon. I mean, if anyone wants to talk about the start, please butt in by all means. But I think you move quite quickly into what he actually does, and how he's actually seen. And you just say by his brother there, you see how he's been seen by the rest of the group, disaffected, white youths hanging around that are easily impressionable, and suddenly he's delivering a speech. And this is where I think it first hit me. The things that he's saying, using the N-word, obviously, despicable. When you hear it said so often, you kind of like it. It's still,
it grates, doesn't it?
It grates. Even though you think, well, at the time, the context and everything. Yeah, but it's still great when he's talking to them, and he's going, "Do you know what? The reason why you are in a bad way, the reason why your life sucks, is because of those people over there." Right? And you're like going, okay. And he's talking about black people, he's talking about minorities. In this case, he's talking about the store that they're about to go and raid. Talking about the Korean, I assume the Korean people, and obviously the black woman that's on the till. He's saying things which some people have genuine concerns about. There's this thing called the Great Replacement Theory, which is now becoming front and center in our election, and I think it is mentioned in Congress and the Senate over there for you. So this is one of those things. If you talked about that 4 years ago, you're a madman, you're a tinfoil hat. But now it's coming to the fore, and you're kind of like, what he's saying is what politicians say now. Obviously not with the same sort of language, but it's basically the reason why things are overcrowded is because of them. And that's the sort of thing that it's weird to see him say it with the swastika and everything else, and then to go, actually, that's what people say now, who are elected officials.
I think the themes he explores are relevant now. They're definitely relevant. I think the themes he explores are discussed now, such as immigration and border controls and welfare systems and things like that. But I think the language he uses is not used by any.
No. And that's what I said.
Well, even the N-word, let's say that, leave it there. But it really isn't. But I think his level of anger and vitriol isn't. Well, I don't know, Joe. Would that point of view be expressed in US politics?
Well, it did remind me a lot of US politics, especially now. I mean, I feel like it's in ways worse the way that they use people. I mean, and you see in this movie how people are used too. Like the head of the Aryan race there. What city did that take place? I forget. Was it Detroit?
Filmed in Los Angeles. This set in Los Angeles.
Was it? I'm sorry, I forget. But yeah, I mean, you see how people will manipulate other people in order to profit, and I see that all the time now. Like when you're looking at, I guess, politicians, like they're saying, like, I guess usually, like right now, what's going on with Trump, they love to call him racist, and then they'll say, if you vote for him, you're voting for racism, And then on the opposite side, you're looking at, again, like what you guys were saying, like there have been a lot of people just crossing over the Mexican border, and it's hard to ignore that. And again, if you do make a stink about it, someone will start to call you racist. And it's not only the politicians, it's also the press. You have a right-leaning press and you have a left-leaning press. But if they would just kind of like make us, don't label us and just make us work together, I think we would be fine. And I think for the most part, we are fine in society. But press and politicians try to label that this country has a major problem with racism. And it's creating fear on both sides. And they're saying, well, then vote for me, if you want to eliminate that fear, because I have your back. And it's the same thing what you saw in the prison scene, too. It's like he felt that he had to be, with the white guys in prison in order to save him from other groups in prison that were made of different races and all that.
Mm.
And it kind of bothers me, too, when I think about it. Even like, again, I host another podcast and we talk about Disney movies, and like they'll put out some movies and they will like blatantly suck. They're just horrible, but they will use the race card instantly. Like where like they try to do the diversity, equity, and inclusiveness, where Disney specifically, where they try to hire like minorities or someone different genders, different whatever. But they do that because they feel it's important to push that into society, that society needs to see more of that. That's going to help society. But when something sucks and people like rag on it and say, oh, that was awful, instantly they say, well, that's because you're a racist.
Yeah.
You can't see.
Because it was bad content.
Yeah, not because of the content. It's because you're a racist. And again, that's not helping anybody,
No.
And again, politicians are not helping anybody too. It's like you meet your real friends. Like when you go to the gym, like I know when I go to the gym, I mean, I have friends of different races. It's like, because we all have something in common. And I guess you found that too in this movie too. Like he found someone that had something in common with basketball, when he was with Lamont and they were working on the laundry and all that. It's again, that's just what frustrates me, is especially here. If you live here, you will see the press say how racist this country is and that we have to do something about it, and that we're part of the problem, both sides, and it's like, and they're getting money from it, because they're getting money from weaponizing hate. And more people, they'll get more people to hate other people. They don't give a shit about the solution. They just want to make money. And I will say that goes for politicians too. It just sucks, and I don't see any clear way out of it. And this movie reminded me of it even more, because again, it's just sad, like how he was manipulated, I would say, by who is that guy?
Stacey Keach's
character.
Yeah.
And how he manipulated so many people in that community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Morgan Freeman said, what was his favorite quote? If you want to defeat racism, stop talking about it.
Yeah, and it's true. It's like,
and you're like, yeah, okay, I can see that, but there's obviously mileage for people to keep the fire stoked.
Well, yeah, all right. So slightly respectfully disagree, though. This film does explore racism, and I think does it in a pretty interesting and compelling way. And yes, whilst banging on about racism continually and it being the answer to and problem behind everything is wrong, I think it's important to explore and air these issues. And one of the strengths of this film, I felt, was clearly Ed Norton's character in his pre-transformation days is an out-and-out racist and a very unsympathetic, character that murders people. But also, minorities are not painted in a favourable light either, are they? So yeah. I thought it took quite an unflinching view at the black community, or a section of the black community at least. The bullies at school are black, aren't they? Yeah. The kids on the basketball court are intimidating and aggressive. And perhaps the film deserves some credit for that, which isn't just that it's one way racism. Actually, these are kind of more complex issues and issues in lots of different communities.
And that's why I said I would be surprised if they could make something like this today, because they would specifically label Edward Norton as a bad guy, but they would not like have the other side also being bad.
They wouldn't be. Yeah, they wouldn't be portrayed in that way.
They would be oppressed.
Yeah. Amanda, you're a bit. I was going to say you're a bit quiet on this one. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, just absorbing it all. It's interesting to hear your viewpoints on it. With regards to if they did make the movie today, would they have Edward Norton as the white person becoming redeemed from being a racist?
Yeah, they would.
Would they?
No, they wouldn't.
I think they would.
Well, it'd be a bleak story if he just was an unrepentant racist throughout the film. That wouldn't be. There'd be no kind of.
It would miss
be invested in the character.
Well, I might be going a little too far into the future with this, but I'm sure, Charlie, you know that there was an alternate ending.
Is that?
Yes, but I can't remember what it is, and I didn't do the research. So, Joe, over to you.
So the original ending that they had was after the brother dies, and he cradles his brother, and he's very upset. He goes home, he goes in front of the mirror, and he shaves his head.
Oh.
Showing that.
Okay, I didn't know that one. Right.
He is who he is, that there's no stopping, there's no stopping racism. And I mean, I understand why they cut that out, because that just makes it just look so much more evil, that it's the right thing to do, to become a neo-N, and yeah, I can understand they didn't want to push something like that, but that would be more realistic, I think. I think it would be hard for someone that just lost his brother, due to racism, to just say, well, I'm just going to overlook it. I think he probably would have shaved his head and gone back to the life that he once had, because that's...
you see, I don't, because it's because of that's caused his brother to get killed.
Yeah, but his brother was not instigating it. I never, and that's another problem I had with this, is that I felt like it was a little bit random that the guy just shot the brother in the bathroom.
Blowing smoke in his face. Yeah.
What's that? Oh, he blew smoke in his face. Just
That's it.
For that.
No, I thought the ending was poor. The actual ending that they chose and the one that you described there, Joe, I think that would have just been would have undermined the kind of 95% of the rest of the film if they'd done that. I thought the ending was a bit confused as well. Ed Norton's trying to get his life back. He's got his suit on. He's got his shirt and tie. He's going for an interview, and then this cop tries to lure him into this, into kind of going back to the neo-Nazis to kind of discuss an assault that happened, which is shown off screen. He never goes to do that, but the younger brother is then killed in a fairly abrupt, I think, unconvincing manner by this kid who stood there splattered in his blood. And for me, it felt tacked on, unnecessary. Like the director, or Ed Norton, however the hell it was that edited the film, didn't really know how to bring it to a conclusion. So it had this kind of shocking event, and you're kind of left pondering that. I thought that was definitely lost some marks for me.
You feel like the ending was set up for him to be mowed down in a drive-by, and his brother to hear about it, and his brother drops a pen or a cup of coffee, and it goes or drops something, in slow-mo, that type of thing.
Oh, maybe that might have been better. Yeah, it reminds me of Boys in the Hood, which is another film from the era which explores racism. That's got an stylized drive-by shooting, and that was pretty dramatic. Maybe something
but
like
you get the hint, because they drive past the house, stop by the house, and he makes the gun thing, and you go, oh, well, I think I know what's coming. And the director goes, no, you think you know what's coming? We're going to go in a completely different direction. But that's why I thought the ending was unsatisfying, because you've got this other little fracas, very, very minor fracas that happened in the toilet. What, he's going to shoot him over that? It's just, that just feels like chance missed.
It's not like if he would have had a fight with him and he would have knocked him out or something, I could see him doing that. But just blowing smoke in his face.
Even then, that'd be excessive. But I mean, I know obviously we got to move things on a little bit. But can I just discuss something that very quickly that I had a problem with? When he's arrested for when he kills the black guys that are in his house, when he's arrested by the police and he's got his hands up and he's turning around, that smile on his face is job done. I mean, he is so ingrained in this thing, so ingrained in this movement, so revered in this movement, so respected, whatever else, that You're telling me that 3 years of prison changes that methodology? I don't buy it.
Yeah, I didn't buy
I don't
that
buy
either.
it. I don't. It doesn't. That I get it because I'm with it and the story, but it doesn't make any sense. There is no altercation between him and the black guy when they're doing the laundry. There's no.
Yeah, I don't buy that
There's no
either.
bad words. There's no fights. There's no bad words. It just seems like you know, a liberal sort of dream that this is how it happened, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
Do you
And for
not
him
think,
to
though, that what's the guy's name that does the laundry?
Norton.
Lamont.
Lamont. Don't you think, though, that it's never told, but I think Lamont was actually running the show in terms of the black gang in the prison.
I think they imply that at one point because he says, you know I wouldn't have lasted without you, you know. So I think that he was having his guys protect him.
Yeah.
But just to finish that bit, sorry. And then I find it equally bizarre that his brother's been in this hip deep, you know, writing a thing on Mein Kampf, you know, heavily into it, respecting his brother, going along with what he thinks his brother wants to do, and right at the end, within hours, tears all his stuff down and tears down his beliefs. And I'm like, it just doesn't happen that quickly. It just doesn't. The redemption.
But they've only got limited amount of time in the movie, though. They're not going to like spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on it.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
So stick up for it, because I found it more believable and plausible than you did. So for me, the difference is that Ed Norton's character, and to some extent his younger brother as well, they are intelligent, individuals, misguided, flawed, badly affected by the father's death, of course. But a lot of what they do is thoughtful. In some ways, that makes it worse. You know, it's just one thing being a knuckle dragging meathead of a racist like their big fat mate is that we see earlier on in the film, Seth or whatever he's called. But actually, I think Ed Norton's character, he thinks these things through. So when he loses his confidence and belief in the Aryan Brotherhood in prison when he sees them doing drug deals with the Mexicans, and that affects the integrity of what he says. He relates on a human level to the guy that he's doing work detail with for 3 years, and then of course the very graphic and gruesome rape scene in the prison showers. That is going to have a huge psychological effect on an individual as well. So for me, I may quibble about 3 years, 5 years, whatever, but the fact that he goes on this journey and is transformed, I found it plausible.
I did too.
Well, I had an issue where he basically turned on the white gang because they weren't racist enough,
Yeah.
I mean, that I thought was weird. I mean, they were protecting him, and it's like, what was his end game? If he starts attacking them.
Very binary though, didn't he? As Dom alluded to, he was indoctrinated with the cause of the neo sort of regime that he was in, and he lived by it. And then to see I suppose what he felt was hypocrisy, because in that prison it wasn't binary at all. Everyone was out for themselves. They appeared to be within certain groups and gangs, but at the end of the day, you look after your own self in a prison, and it's only by luck and keeping your head down sometimes that you kind of get on and just do your time unscathed.
Oh my god, Joe, as well. American prisons. If I lived in America, I'd be the most law-abiding person you'd ever met. I'd be speed limit. I'd be, honestly, there would be nothing, not that there is anyway, dear listeners, but there'd be nothing dodgy about me whatsoever, because I think I'd last about 10 minutes inside one of those prisons.
Trust me, I'm scared shitless every day.
Ours aren't holiday camps.
Oh, well, compared to that, have you not seen that video of that female prison warden in, is it Wandsworth Prison?
No, I've not seen it.
No.
Oh, well, that looks like a holiday camp to me compared to this. I wouldn't linger in the shower. What was he doing in there? Like, I'd be in...
He wasn't expecting it.
And then out. Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, but I wouldn't take the risk, would you? I mean, I wouldn't be having a leisurely shower in those places. I'd probably walk around stinking. Might put them off a little bit. Yeah, honestly, Jay, is that what American prisons are like? Not, I don't know about from personal experience, but did you think that seemed believable?
Yeah, definitely.
Why did they
God.
stop?
Why did they stop? I mean,
Yeah. Why didn't
What?
they attack him again?
maybe they did. Maybe they attacked him every day. You never know. Well, that's again, this is part of my problem too, is that he does a complete 180. I mean, again, his problem is they're not racist enough, and then they end up raping him in the shower, and then all of a sudden he's like, "All right, that's it. I'm no longer racist."
Yeah.
And the cause was because they weren't racist enough. I don't know. To me, I didn't buy that as a.
No, I thought it was
could.
because he couldn't belong anywhere because of his thought process that he was actually very alone again. Like and he said, it was as if I'd started prison again. It was day one again because he had no affiliation with anybody.
And he reads those
But
books that
again,
the principal gives him, and he has that talk with the guy, doesn't he? He's kind of given alternative points of view to consume.
Yeah. There's only one guy that's going and doing the deals, and the others basically condone it. And if you're in prison and you're going to survive and you're going to make a living, or you're going to get something, he could be sending that money back to his wife. He could be sending it back to whoever. He's doing something because he's in prison. He's in the situation. He's doing something to survive. That would be his thing. And then these people are just turning a blind eye to it. It's not like they're all having parties together. It's not like they're all sitting together. They're still all in their segregated areas.
Staunch defense of the drug dealing Aryan Brotherhood there.
No, not at all. But if you're saying you're disillusioned by him, it's not that they were embracing it. It's just that they were turning a blind eye to a particular one of the individuals.
Yeah, and they might have been.
Norton, that was just a final straw.
And they might have been working with the Mexican gang to kind of like say, like, if there is a big war going on in this prison, we need you on our side or something like that. Just kind of like get like allies or something like that. Even though, yeah, and I guess like you said, the way that Ed Norton thinks is just like tunnel vision. Like where he can only associate with whites. You can't become allies with anybody that isn't white. But it's not going to help you in the long run, especially, again, if there is a battle between different races, like say there's Asians and blacks in the prison, and they all have gangs. You're going to need somebody on your side, I would think.
Oh,
but
I'd have to join the English gang. Did they have like a little group for the Brits in there?
You guys be so fucked, man.
We've got
tea at 4:00 every day.
We'll have Vinnie Jones on our side. It's fine. God, it's going off, lads.
Yeah,
that's what it'd be.
And Hannibal Lecter.
I want to
pip everyone. Yeah,
I want to drag you back to one of the other scenes where they're around the dinner table. With Elliot Gould, obviously the new man in his mum's life, a teacher at the school. That is quite uncomfortable to watch.
I think it's the best scene in the film, though, for me.
Yeah, you are.
No, yeah, it's a very good scene.
Yeah.
So let's paint the picture for the viewers, then, the listeners. So it starts off a family dinner. The mum's started to date again. She's brought her boyfriend around, who also happens to be a teacher at the school. Ed Norton's got his girlfriend there. There's some tensions obviously underlying, but it starts off fairly civilized. They discuss the Rodney King events, which again, lots of parallels, I think, with George Floyd and stuff that happened more last couple of years as well. You could kind of substitute some of the names around there. And then it turns into more of an intellectual discussion, tempers raised, fray, and then it all just kicks off. And Ed Norton's forcing food down his sister's throats. He's attacking him with a baseball bat. The mother's kicking him out of the house. I don't know how long it takes from start to finish that scene, and I don't know how many takes they shot it in. But I'd be interested in knowing that, because for me it's an absolute masterclass. And at the centre of it all, this incredible hurricane-like performance is Ed Norton.
Yeah. And the very reserved performance, but just acts with this face from Elliot Gould, which is just incredulity of the sorts of things that he's hearing. and the way that he's been spoken to. You know, you would have expected, you know, that maybe the director to explore, right, okay, well, actually, I'm going to stand up to you and I'm going to, you know, and Ed Norton is missing the father figure. He loved his father. That scene at the start where he's being interviewed by the news and obviously goes off on his mini rant about how his dad died. Yeah, you're kind of like, well, with that scene won't make sense without that context, that flashback, where his dad's talking around the dinner table. His dad's at the head, where Ed Norton's now at the head. Ed Norton seems to be the replacement rather than his brother.
This is my biggest problem with the movie. I don't think they need to have had the father be racist. He still could have turned without the father being racist. And I just think that was just pushing a little too much. There's no reason why. Well, okay.
I disagree because he loved his dad and admired his dad so much. And it was actually something that I'd forgotten that was in the film. And it was like oh God moment when I watched it. It was like, oh my God, yeah, of course. It makes sense now why he took that path, because his dad was a racist and quite vehement, although it was kind of, you know, the acceptable kind of racism, wasn't it? And it was, you know, the kind of lovely kind of family table sort of racism and stuff.
Yeah, I know it was acceptable.
Yeah, well, it was in that family, you know.
I think the point you make there, Amanda, though, is what I think is correct, which is that you don't have to be a skinhead with a swastika tattooed on your chest to be a racist, and that other forms of racism, you know, exist beneath the veneer of polite society. That said, I think I personally agree with Joe's point that it felt a little bit too kind of joining the dots. That, you know, he's this intelligent guy who's talking about how much he's enjoying his black literature classes. His dad makes kind of a throwaway comment about affirmative action and so on, and it's almost like, I wouldn't be at all surprised if this is where one of Ed Norton's editing decisions there, because I thought it was a little bit, you know, becoming a racist by numbers a little bit there.
I just think I was just going to say on a final note, because we're going to wrap this up because we've got another couple of things to do before we do. I think we've lost the ability to. I think you probably hinted at this earlier, Joe. We've lost the ability to talk to each other. We lost the ability to listen to each other, and now it's camps either side. So you've got Ed Norton, you know, extreme on one side. And then you've got, presumably, I don't know if this is fair or not, but then you've got the black guy that shoots Danny, who's extreme on that side. Is that fair, or is that wrong way to look at it? I mean, you've got to say something to pick up a gun and shoot someone just because he offended you in the toilet. I mean, I don't know if that is extreme, but I just think.
The same?
Well, but you've got these two. I mean, substitute race for politics, substitute it for, you know, other views. They're so entrenched either side that there is no middle ground to talk about, and that middle ground's been lost, which is a real shame. Because, you know, the one side will say, as you said, if you criticize my thing, then you're a racist, and the other side go, well, we can't say anything anymore, and this isn't what society should be. You know, you get this sort of arrows going over the field.
And what's made things worse is social media. Is that it's all this stuff is so readily available to you. So if you like something, and then there's like, you know, what YouTube does with the algorithm. So if you are like a hater or a racist or something like that, and you like watching racist things, they'll keep pushing more of it on there for you. And again, because they are making money off of it. All of this is money driven. Like politicians, corporations,
pharmaceutical
companies. You can add that into, but it's the people you meet, and it's more about class. I think, like for most people, you know, like where, like if you see somebody, regardless of color or race, you know, wearing like torn jeans and it's got tons of tattoos on them and, you know, a metal grill, you're a little intimidated. But if you see somebody in a 3-piece suit, regardless of their race or gender or whatever, you're going to feel a little bit more comfortable or safer. But again, they try to turn it around. The politicians, it's like, no, you have a problem because of this person's color, not because of how they dress. But I do think it is more about class or how they act. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Several times when I watched this film, it did remind me a little bit of. You could definitely apply a Marxist lens to this, which is that these racial divisions and the pointless culture wars that we experience and the divide between men and women or supposed divide, they're all just designed to keep us divided and separate and not realize our true potential. So, yeah, I'm going to be flying the red flag over this podcast and saying. Join together, brothers and sisters. You have nothing to lose but your chains. And on that note, Charlie, we should probably turn to a different.
Are you going to end on communism? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I thought that's what you would do, Joe, leading the rallying call for the
No.
No, I wasn't talking about
final word, Amanda. Then before we go into the last bits we got to do.
Near the end of the film, and I can't remember which character it was. One of them says, "Hate is baggage. Life's too short to be pissed off all the time. It's just not worth it."
It's true.
So I think that could be seen as the summation of the film's overall message. Hate is baggage. Life is too short to be pissed off all the time. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And it is. I think that's true.
That's a better way to end. Yeah, it's a better way to end it than the red flag being flown by
proletariat.
Comrade Hardman over there. So yeah, I think it's a good choice. I think it's a really good choice, and as I say, I think it's been a really good discussion. And YouTube algorithms, we made it. It feels like Mike Skinner at the end of a broadcast on Radio 1's Live Lounge. We did it. We managed to get through it without swearing and saying the word. So, just before we go to the next choice, I just want to tell you that we will be doing a special, which will be releasing on Sunday or Monday. So you only have, even if you love us that much, you've only got 4 or 5 days to wait, because we are going to collectively, going to try and see if we can get all of us on there, but let's see what happens, to watch Axel F, Beverly Hills Cop 4. The reviews are okay. It's not coming to America sequel, which is the worst film of the last 6 years, maybe 7 years, which is dreadful. It sounds as if they tick all the nostalgia buttons, and I'm fine with that, and I'm absolutely happy with it. So we will be doing that and releasing that. You could say we're jumping on a bandwagon. I tell you, we absolutely are. So yes, let's do that.
Yeah, we're hoping for some more popular actors to die in the meantime as well, so we can monetize those.
No, I do those genuinely. I put this together with love.
Anyone on their last legs? Do you know any famous actors? They live next door. Could you give me a shove down the steps, please? Because we're kind of hitting some good numbers with those little.
I'm editing this bit out. That is so
just
wrong.
A joke. Just a joke.
It's so wrong. I genuinely got emotional doing the Donald Sutherland one. I did.
Thinking of all those likes. Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
God.
You're so harsh.
You are. You're.
Come on, let's do next week's pod.
Right. Communists are all the same. Right. Speaking on that, what's the next film? It's over to you, Dom. Your time has come.
Well, hang on a second. We had a little chat on our WhatsApp before this. I thought we were getting the listener's choice.
We did, and we do have a listener's choice, and we do have Dom's choice. And the listener's choice is a belter.
Which one are we doing then? Because I like to save it for next time. So.
Which one do you want to do? I'm going to give you the choice because you know both the films.
Dom's choice, because we had a listener's choice just fairly recently.
All right. Well, okay. So my choice was going to be the one that's now been taken by a listener. So we're going for my second choice, and I think we've been getting a bit serious recently, particularly with this discussion about class war and race war today. So I'm going to take
Dumb and Dumber. Go on.
No. Although that was one of my shortlisted ones.
Okay.
So my nominated film for 2 weeks' time is going to be Starship Troopers.
Oh my God, no.
Oh, yes. What a great choice.
You'll just have to tune in, listeners, to see how that goes.
You can bring your communist thoughts into that one.
There's definitely some political subtext to that film as well.
Oh, yeah, and some quite dodgy scenes which people have talked about now, especially nudity, sex. Great, excellent.
It appealed to me on all those levels.
Those levels, yes. I wonder why, hey. Right. Well, great choice. And are we allowed to say the listener's choice, or should we just keep people hanging?
Keep people hanging.
All right. Okay. That's fine. Right.
But it is a good one, listeners.
It is a
You
belter.
got back-to-back good choices there, if I say so myself.
Well,
I think we've had back-to-back good choices all of this season.
Well, I can't explain some of the numbers that I look at. I look at the numbers for things like Blade and Fight Club and things like that. And I just think, that I might not have thought Fight Club was particularly good, but I know that loads of people do. And people watch the shorts, and then they go and watch the.
Let's not end by berating the listeners. Let's not end on that note. Otherwise I'm just going to start singing communist songs.
That's all I'm saying. Right. Anyway, on that note, great podcast. I've really enjoyed the conversation that we've had on this, even though the subject matter itself is not probably enjoyable. But I'm going to say cheerio.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Toodle pip.
Bye.